Okay, the paper that is in the center of the table is so you can write down these verses to take home and study. Okay. Okay, everybody's got their coffee, their treats, their pens, their papers, ready to go. Let's go. Okay. 2 books. The Tunnel and the Light. I recommend that. That is part of the book. The first one, Elisabeth Kubler-Ross, wrote. This one is the one that I read in 1972 when we lost a baby girl. Her writing is so helpful. And she is a woman. She was a woman. She's an MD. She was a hospitalist. And she talks about the fact that what she was able to do was only because all of the negative things that had happened in her life. Those negatives prepared her for dealing with something like dying children, which is the majority of people that she worked with. So having this book and reading it, you don't have to start at the beginning. You don't have to go through the whole thing. Find the parts that sound like they will speak to you. Okay? I'm going to read just a bit of the first one, the Psalm 139. That one has been my verse for the entire time as a pastor because it covers so much. And I really invite you to use that one as a devotion. If you only want to read one thing, that one is wonderful. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from far away. Think about that. God is listening to me. He's watching me. He's looking after me and you. That's real. That's not a note that somebody scribbled in a book. That's a relationship to God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Where can I go from your Spirit? Or where can I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you're there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you're there. If I take the wings of the morning and settle at the farthest limits of the sea, even there, your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light around me become night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is as bright as the day, for darkness is as light to you. This is who we have a relationship with. This is someone who watches over us every day for everything that we face. For you formed me, and you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works that I know very well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes beheld my unformed substance. In your book were written all the days that were formed for me, when none of them as yet existed. I love that. Before they existed. How weighty to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. I try to count them. They are more than the sand. I come to the end. I am still with you. I am still with you. So, when you write down Psalm 139, it's about never, ever being alone. When you think of some circumstance for a family member, someone who recently died, never alone. So, one of the books that I brought today is called Nothing to Fear. And it's Demystifying Death and Living More Fully. Grandson, you can come in and sit down if you want. Oh, okay. Nothing to Fear is Julie Madden, and she's a nurse, a hospice nurse. So her whole career is about death and dying. Death and dying is something people tend to not want to talk about. When we do a good job, when we're in a good situation with someone to be there with someone who's passing, and they know a little bit about what it is to pass, it makes things lovely. When I preached a sermon shortly after Bill had passed, and I said, and heaven was in the room, I mean it. Heaven was in the room. So your prayers, your calling to God to come to you, brings angels to stand around you, brings joy. It's literally like heaven just comes and surrounds you. So just say your prayers, and they help so much. And God listens, because God has known you before you were born. Think about that for a minute. God knew us before we were born. That gets a little interesting. Not really Lutheran, but I would like it to be. I like that idea that God has known me as the soul I am, not the body I am, because that's getting really old. The soul that I am is who God knows, and who God knows in you. When Steve Jobs' death came, he was a fairly young man. Does anybody remember how old Steve Jobs was? He was like early 50s, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was like, oh no, he's so brilliant, and why does he have to go? Well, he said to his sister, who was in the room with him, he said, I'm going to leave now. And then he said, with his eyes closed, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow. I want to see the oh wow. %80 of people who give us near-death experiences have lucidity. People who are on the deathbed often stare and you don't know what they're staring at. Sometimes if they can talk, they can tell you what they're seeing, that there's a relative in the room, that there is an angel standing nearby who's come to help them cross over. People have wonderful experiences around death and dying when heaven comes. When heaven comes. So don't be shy. Ask for God to be there with you if you are with someone who is passing, or if you're the one passing. One of the things I want to ask today is, what brought you here? Is it just the subject matter? You want to know the kinds of things that I'm telling you? Last time I asked how many people have lost a loved one and that person is still in their mind. Could we have a show of hands again for that? Yeah, that's pretty much all of us, guys. We're on the train that's going there because we've seen people leave and we care about it. The other thing I wanted to ask today, are there things that you want to share? I shared a lot the first time. I shared so much. My pregnancy, loss of a child, all sorts of things that were very personal. So personal that I didn't want it put up online. Because I thought, what if I don't forget something? What if I don't really remember everything that I said? What if? And I did the what ifing thing. So I called Deb and I said, could you just take that one down? Just don't put that one up. And then I'm deciding I'm going to have it put back up because I'm braver now. What if I said something? What if I said something? Big deal. I don't mind sharing things with people I know, but I thought about out there. And then I thought, I'm not going to worry about it. So we're going to put that one up along with this one, no matter what I say. So, have you thought for a minute? Is there something about death and dying or a specific loss that still bothers you or that you would like to share with the group? Anyone? I thought I saw a hand. Okay. Death and dying is a difficult subject, but it is one that when death comes to us, our families, our friends, it always changes us. It opens a little door that wasn't opened before. And we aren't the same after we've lost someone. There's always just a little bit of our mind that stays with heaven when someone we know is gone. Okay, I'm going to move on. This particular book today that I brought, Nothing to Fear, by Julie McFadden, the nurse. She is very good at explaining how to care, because she's a hospice nurse. She's very good at giving recommendations for comfort and for dealing with the situation if someone in the family is dying. And she teaches a lot. One of the things she says here is, the truth is, at the end of life, hydration actually causes more problems than it solves. That was one that bothered me. because I thought, I wonder if I should have offered more water to Bill. And then I thought, he would have waved to me, or he would have asked me if he needed something. But then it got toward the end, and I did offer him just a sip to get his lips comfortable, and he took that. But it was something that I thought about. And when you get a thought about somebody who's passed and it stays with you and it stays with you, you have to find a way to fix it, to get comfortable with it. So this book is very helpful when it's, if you are sitting with someone, or if you are the one that's dying. I'm going to have this book go to my kids, so that when I'm dying, if I don't just go in my sleep, which is called the happy death, then this will give them some guidance. So it's helpful to your family members. When we lost Angela in 1972, she lived for 14 hours. There was only one book that I could find in the 70s, and that was the original book of Elisabeth Kubler-Ross. And what I've noticed now, when I started preparing for this group, you go onto Amazon and look for books on death and dying. There's tons of them. And a lot of them are by medical people who are there all the time, whether they're hospitalists or whether they're coming in as visiting nurses. They write books now about their experiences. And whether it's a near-death experience that someone has had, they're writing about those now. Whether it's out of body, where people experience, in fact, a friend of mine that lives in South Dakota, we were talking on the phone, and he said, oh, well, that happened to me. And I said, really? He had an out-of-body experience. He was 13 years old. He fell on the floor and was up on the ceiling. That's common. That's not unusual. It's just that we don't talk about it. I'd known him for years. I said, why didn't you tell me that 25 years ago? That's such a cool thing. He said, yeah, it happened 3 times in one summer. Well, for him, he can't sweat, and he lives in South Dakota. And so he would get overheated, hit the floor, pop out. It never scared him. It seemed normal. So part of what I would love is that we would all begin to think about death and dying as normal. Because it's normal. You don't want to be here when in the Bible where it says, and so lived to be 300 years, that just terrifies me. I think, oh my gosh, I'm going to be 80. What am I going to do? I'm going to be able to walk. So when we have all of this available to us to help us with the notion of dying, because we get to do that. We get to go to heaven. We get to have an experience. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people writing about it. So I recommend that you go on Amazon, find a good book, and just do some reading at home to help you, particularly if you're dealing with things you haven't finished. So, The Tunnel and the Light and Nothing to Fear would be the 2 that I recommend for you.
There's a lot of internet
On the internet.
about death and dying, where you actually follow
Really?
it on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
It's very neat. Everybody does it.
Okay. Did you hear that? It's on Netflix. Yeah, it's on Netflix. We can watch people going through the death and dying with their families, huh? Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or
Yes.
yeah.
Well, the choices that people have really have to be left up to them as much as possible. And if there's no pain, there's no reason for medication. Bill fell the Tuesday before he died on Saturday. So all of his joints on his right side were just really uncomfortable. So he took a very small dose just to take the edge off of it, because he really didn't want to miss anything either. I mean, that was so Bill. You know, it was just another journey to Bill France. Yeah, he taught a class called The Journey. Okay. Yes. Say it a little louder. This one is Consciousness Beyond Life. By Pim, P-I-M, Van, V-A-N, Lommel, L-O-M-M-E-L, M-D.
I'll put these. Excuse me. I'll put these on the recording, on the description on YouTube, so you could you don't have to worry about all
Okay.
these books.
So help me remember to get these to you?
Yep.
Okay. So that's one, and then The Tunnel and the Light, and then this one is, this is at Hospice Nurse Julie. So you can online get her recommendations and her experiences with death and dying. At Hospice Nurse Julie. So thank you for sharing that.
Okay, the other thing you were talking about, how it's up to the person who's experiencing it to try and express their wishes as to how much pain relief they want, etc. That is the sort of stuff that's covered by what we had last week, the 5 Wishes book. And I highly recommend that, because that is the way that you can make known to everybody what you want and how you want it to proceed.
Yes, yes. And it's so important to be as open as you can. Don't sit in the bedroom and be sad if you're dying. Talk to somebody. If you don't want to talk to somebody in the family, call Deb. She'll talk to you. If she gets overloaded, she'll assign me. But getting ready is a blessing. It's a huge blessing. Jackie.
Don't wait until then to develop a relationship with the person that you want to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be not talking to your sister for 20 years and all of a sudden say, I'm dying now I want to talk to you. So think ahead. Make those relationships now.
That's a very good suggestion, Jackie. The thing of it is, most of it, if you have disease, Bill had Parkinson's, it's terrible. The last 2 years were really hard, but find ways to communicate with someone that you want to be with you, to help you, and make your wishes known. Any other thoughts on that particular? Okay. I see your eyes like moving around. and I know you're thinking about things, but you're not speaking up. Would you speak up a little bit? So Steve Jobs said, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." One of my longtime friends passed. Her husband was in the room with her, and all of a sudden, her arm went up like that. She'd been quiet for a day. And when she did that, he said, "What do you see, honey?" She said, "I want to climb those stairs and go up." So those of you that know physics may know what's going on. I didn't take physics. I'm not that much of a scientist. But there is so much happening in this space right now that we don't know about. And so when someone is dying, they're drawing heaven to them. And all sorts of wonderful things happen. Bill loved to tell the story of when his grandfather died. He said, "My grandpa was kind of gruff." He died when Bill was about 7. And his feet were out from under the blanket. And Bill went over and wanted to touch his big toe. And so his little 7-year-old finger went up to Grandpa's big toe and goes like this. And he wiggled all of his toes. And Bill just jumped back. And his grandpa laughed. And it was a lovely gift at the end and a lovely memory to have. And we can create memories. When we are dying because we're dying and we're thinking about it, please think about your family members. Some people feel afraid to talk about you with them. They don't know how do you start a conversation? It's important to let people know if your time is coming and make a plan. Bill and I made 1 year's worth of plans. We didn't know how long they were going to be. It turned out to be 1 year. We had friends over. We had people come and visit that hadn't visited for a long time. We made sure that we could help him say goodbye to people he wanted to be able to talk to. So planning is really good, and that 5 wishes is a wonderful, were there handouts with that this time?
Yep.
Okay, so those are around. All right. Okay, this one is, this particular topic about death and dying is one of the ones I'm most interested in right now. That's why I got this book, The Consciousness Beyond Life. The brain does not create consciousness. It doesn't create it. So when your brain dies, you don't die. Consciousness lives on, and just like Jesus said, eternally. I said to the last group, you are more than you know you are. I see some furrowed brows. Are you wondering what you are, or what's the furrowed about? We are beautifully, wonderfully made, like the Psalm says. And leaving is something we may have done before. Again, not Lutheran. But I'm there now. I'm there now. I think that creation is so huge because we have such a huge God. You are more than you know you are. You're probably an angel. You probably get wings when you get into heaven. Who knows? But understand, God is God. And He doesn't make, or she, doesn't make small things all the time. Some of them are huge, and they're right in here because the kingdom of God is in you. And just amazing things will come from you, both when you're still alive and when you move on. Consciousness does not die. One of the things that will help your consciousness is to spend time sitting in quiet and listening and letting your mind rest, letting your mind roam, but not solving problems. Deep prayer and meditation increases your consciousness. And as we get closer to dealing with bodies that may be sick, I would like my consciousness to be as big as I can get it before I go. Okay, I'm looking to see if there's something else in particular that I wanted to share with you today. Three things to take. These are the particular Psalms, Corinthians, one and two, John, Revelation, almost the whole book of Revelation is about heaven. When you read that, Revelation 4, 1 through 11, you know, there's gold streets and there's all sorts of palaces and stuff like that. I read that when I was 8 years old, and I didn't believe it. I thought, well, that's stupid. Who would build heaven like that? It would be much better if it was a meadow and there were horses and animals to play with. I was building heaven in my own 8-year-old mind. But when you read these, and the reason I've had the paper on the table is if you want to read these at home, they will give you comfort. The Psalm 139 is about never being alone. 1 Corinthians is love is all that lasts. Think about that. Every sin I've ever had is not going to be there. I'm really excited about that. It's just going to be about love. 2 Corinthians is the one where St. Paul talks about a friend of his. He says, my friend had an experience, and he doesn't know if he was in his body or out of his body. Then he changes his language a little bit more so you can tell he's talking about himself. So somebody had an out-of-body experience, and Paul wrote about it in 2 Corinthians 12:2. John 14:1-4, again, one of my very favorites. I think he was talking to Thomas? Yes, the doubting one, Thomas. Jesus says, this is just before the ascension. He says, Thomas, you know the way to the place that I'm going. You know the place, the way to the place. And Thomas is just freaked out. What do you mean? We don't know where you're going. And in a few minutes, he's going up. These are so amazing scriptures. They're like science fiction. But it's part of our life, and it's part of what has been created for us, and it's part of where we're going. So, we know the way. The title of it in our day is The Tunnel and the Light. And if you listen to or read more or watch more about near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences and hear the testimonies of individuals from all over the United States, and I've read one from a woman in India, it's amazing that this door is open. If you want to know, if you are interested. And the Revelation one is the one that as a child, I thought, I don't need gold streets at 8 years old. I liked grass and flowers and puppies. Luke 20:36 tells us what Jesus said when we go to heaven. And he says, you will be like the angels. You will be like the angels. And I thought, whoa, does that mean I get wings? Does that mean I can fly? I've never seen an angel fly. I wonder if I get to fly. I invite you to take your 8-year-old self when you read these and believe them, because you're going to be filled with joy. Let yourself be filled with joy. Anything else before we adjourn today? Comments or questions? Do not be afraid. That was what was given to me after Bill passed. A little whisper in my ear. Do not fear, only believe. That was my assignment from heaven. And I'm not afraid. And I'm looking forward to all the flowers in heaven. Okay, I like those. Whoopsie. And again. Yay. Thank you for
Anyhow.
doing that.
Is it on? Testing?
Yeah,
Okay.
close, so close to it.
I've been with one person who died when I was present, and that was my father.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at General Hospital, and I was at the bedside with him, and I'd been there about an hour visiting with him, and he said to me right at the end, he said, "Don't worry," he said my name, "don't worry, Chris, I've seen the light." And then within 2 minutes, he was gone.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I've never even told Kathy that, but I just thought about that as you were talking today.
You know, it's very common that people don't share it because it seems to be so sacred. It's just, we keep those kinds of things in the back of our mind. But what a gift that was, that he told you, I have seen the light. Yeah, that's wonderful. Any other sharing that people would like to do? No questions, no experiences. I've been so brave up here, you guys. Look at me being brave up here.
Done a good job.
Okay, so who had their hand up? Okay.
I guess I want to say I've been around it a number of times now. And what I think the dying person has shown me is that they need to feel like they can go.
Yes.
And for my cousin George, if anybody remembers the Bismores, Gladys and Ray, their son George, I ended up being his primary advocate because his parents were gone and he wasn't talking to his brothers. Did that go out? No, here you go. So it was back in 2010. He had ALS. So we knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
He knew he was going to die. We ended up telling him where his ashes were going to go. We were going to put him in a box that his father had carved, which I think brought him much peace.
Yes.
With my dad, I know I was able to say, I'm like, you've chosen well when you chose me as your person, because I got it. I'm going to take care of stuff. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
He needed to hear stuff from other people in order to kind of be at peace with that. And I just, even Linda, my mother-in-law who just died, that's why I'm here. My goodness, it's been a run.
Yes.
But she had Parkinson's as well. It was tough. And she and her husband, my father-in-law, they, I think they were just working through the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Stepping in, and my husband's a nurse, we could just go, she's not going to be here much longer.
Yeah.
And he couldn't see that. So we were able to be the honest people in the room to say, I don't think we have that much time.
Yeah.
And I got to say to her what I needed to say. Having just gone through it with my dad, I left. And I let my husband and his dad be with Linda, which was appropriate. Because I was at peace with her. She knew I loved her, and I was going to miss her. And it had been a terrible journey. That she walked through bravely. So they need to hear that we're going to be okay, that we will take care of it, and they have no worries anymore.
Yes.
They can just go.
Yes. Yes.
And be at peace. And then we can be at peace because we know that we did what they needed.
Exactly. And one really important thing that you can do and that some people don't remember about is call your pastor and ask her to come. I had her come and visit Bill, and I went out of the room because that was his time with his pastor.
Do you always respect the wishes of the dying? If they say, don't come, do you not come?
Well, it depends on the relationship, but if they're giving a directive, I would go with the directive. One of the things, just recently, a friend of mine called and her husband was dying, and she'd been talking to me on the phone, and after we hung up, I sent her a text, and one of the things I said is, please leave the room after you think you've said all you want to say and that he has said all he wants to say. And just see what happens. But leave. Because it is it's such a long-term relationship. Some people don't want to leave. But if you give them the opportunity and leave the room, they get to go. And they don't feel like they're leaving somebody. So give them the opportunity to be alone with the angels because they're surrounded by angels. And you don't have to worry about them. Okay. All right. I think we're about done for today. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for sharing. And now you can share more with each other too. Okay? Blessings on all of you.